This is the Freeheel Life Podcast, episode number 115. I'm your host, Josh Madsen, coming at you from the Freeheel Life shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. Welcome back, friends and family. It's Monday. Time for another week and time for more Telemark skiing. Hopefully that's what you're planning on doing, because there's lots going on this weekend all over the world, the country, and hope you can make it and get out and ski. If nothing else, hope you're getting out in the backcountry or your local hill and doing something fun. So today's going to be kind of I've just been kind of looking at emails and notes, and there's all these events happening, and just kind of going to be kind of a hodgepodge episode of just kind of Telemark randomness. Just to kind of catch up on a couple things, let people know what's going on out there, share a few thoughts on some things coming up, throwing a couple questions in there from some emails I've received, and yeah, just going to kind of riff off all of that stuff. So if you're tuning in for a deep dive into history or guests this week, unfortunately, this is not the podcast for you. But if you want to kind of hear what's going on, and might find some interest in that, it's not going to be a long one, and you can get caught up on what's happening in the Telemark universe this week. So like I've been doing these last, probably over the last month or so, is I've really been trying to focus in on what is happening at various resorts in terms of Telemark festivals, clinics, whatever I can find. Oftentimes I don't have all of them. So if you know someone who's doing an event, be sure to send them my way, podcast@freeheellife.com. I'd love to hear what's going on in your area, especially over in Europe. I probably need to do a little bit of deep digging. So this is probably me just being a little lazy and telling you guys to send me the information so it's all in one place. Always makes it easier. But yeah, if there's a head of one of the events out there, and you hear this, or you know someone who's running an event, have them email me, get it in front of my nose so I can bring it up. But good stuff is happening, and that's what I love to see. So this week, for all you Vermonters, if you're anywhere near Pico, which is Killington area, February 10th and 11th, there's a clinic type thing going on there. I don't have all the deep details on that one, but I'm sure you can find it on a Facebook page or website. Pico in Vermont, check that out. I think the big one this weekend for us as Freeheel Life is Midwest Telefest, because we've got our good friend Keith Opperman, who runs the Midwest Telefest, along with many other fine folks all the way up in the upper peninsula of Michigan. And this year, Keith is also our service and demo center out in the Midwest, and does a fantastic job, and he's really been helping us. This is year number 2. We've had a full fleet of Telemark rentals out there, which will be, they'll be using those along with other demos up at the Midwest Telefest. So Keith is a certified Freeheel Life tech, ski tech. So he's a great guy to talk to about questions, equipment, how to get equipment from freeheellife.com, even though you're all the way in the middle of the United States. So Midwest Telefest, February 11th through the 13th at Porcupine Mountain Ski Area in the UP of Michigan. And check this out. Freeheel Life Shop Manager Miles Schaefer, along with the fabulous T2 Henham, if you will. He's going to be there too. So see those guys. They're going to be traveling out there for their first Midwest Telefest. Last year we had Taylor and Wyatt went out. I went the year before. It's sort of becoming a tradition, and a great way to share in one of the longest running festivals in the world. and also support our fellow protectors of the turn, Keith Opperman, and all of the awesome people out there in the Midwest. So check that out, Midwest Telefest coming up. If you're in the Rockies, you can check out Telefestivus at Monarch, I believe. And I believe this is, I don't know if it's Mountain Chalet, I believe, is the shop in Colorado Springs. I think that's who started this. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, shoot me an email. But Telefestivus has been going on for a while, and definitely kind of one of those ones that stands out in Colorado. I think, I could be wrong, but I think it might be the only like festival that happens in Colorado. I'm probably blanking on something, but awesome one. So that's Sunday, February 13th. Hit it up. It's at Monarch. Fabulous zone in Colorado. I almost hate saying it out loud because I don't want to blow the cover. I know lots of people know about it, but it's still off the beaten path and probably not as busy as like Summit County would be. So check it out. Monarch, Telefestivus, for all you Colorado folks. Following up on that, I've been talking about the 36th annual Corey Anderson Telemark Festival. That's on February 26th and 27th. And if you haven't listened to a few episodes back with Greg Paquin, he's sort of heading things up there. He's the director of telemark skiing at Bromley. Fantastic dude, and holding it down for another festival that's been going for a really long time and named after a historic telemark figure, Corey Anderson. So hopefully you can make that, and that would be super cool if you could. That's kind of rounding out February. I know these are repeats. I've been, but look, not everybody listens to the podcast every single week. If you do, thank you so much. God bless you. Because there's a lot of episodes. And if you really do listen to them all, I appreciate it. And hopefully it'll, like I always say, part of just calling these out is to hopefully inspire people to get gatherings together in your area. And guess what? The easiest way to do that, if you want to give it a shot, is Saturday, March 5th, which is World Telemark Day everywhere in the whole world. And all you got to do is call out a spot that you want to meet, and we'll share it. I'll tell people, seriously, email me, podcast@freeheellife.com. And if you're like, hey, I'm meeting at Chair 2 at noon on World Telemark Day at this mountain, I will call it out on the podcast. And who knows, maybe someone will show up that you didn't even know telemarked in your zone, and now you got a new telemark friend, a fellow brother and sister of the turn. I would love to see that. Stranger things have happened over the years. No, but really, start sending me your meetups. If you need information, you want to share it with like your resort, you've still got time. This is an easy one for marketing people. And we're going to talk a little bit about World Tele Day here probably towards the end of the podcast, but it's an easy one we've put an article up that's a press release on telemarkskier.com. There's a logo there. Literally, all you got to do is say, hey, here's where it's happening. You don't have to run it like an official event. All you got to do is grab your friends or someone who wants to learn how to telemark ski with you, loan them some gear, and there you go. You've now created a World Telemark Day celebration in your local area. That's how badass you're going to look. So on the World Telemark Day note, I wanted to mention our old good friends, the Worst Crew in Grion, Switzerland. I've had my friend Benoit Goulet on there, one of the Worst Crew guys. They're actually doing their Tele Kids again this winter, and the first one's on February 26th, and the second one's on March 5th. It says seats are limited, registration is required, and will be confirmed on a first come, first serve basis and supplies that are available. I got this off their Instagram account at Worst Crew. And it's they've got a kids Telemark fleet. Awesome place. If you haven't been to Grion, it's a cool kind of, again, same thing, kind of off the beaten path, a beautiful village up in the Swiss mountains in the French-speaking part, as you could probably tell from the name. But yeah, tell your kids, scope it out. And I would love to see some people get to that one. I actually went to a festival. They had the Worst Crew Festival. I think they've kind of morphed it into this kids thing, but I have been to Grion for a festival, and they've got an awesome Telemark community, and it's just so cool. And Switzerland's a real great place. There's a lot going on with the tele scene there. Another one I got this week. Okay, coming back to the United States, I have become aware of a Telemark celebration at Timberline Mountain, which is in Davis, West Virginia. Check it out. Usually when we talk West Virginia, I've had Chip Chase on here, historic, legendary Telemark skier from the Canaan Valley. I am not, I should have looked this. I don't have the deep dive time sometimes I would like. I believe Timberline's pretty close, if not in that Canaan Valley, but is lift served. Whereas if you've ever listened to stuff on Whitegrass, that is all hiking around, human powered. So anyways, back to Timberline Mountain in West Virginia. Join them for World Telemark Day, Saturday, March 5th. They've got a half-day clinic from 9:30 to noon. All levels welcome. It's $50. Then there's a half-day social ski, 2 p.m. to close. All levels welcome, and that's free. Après ski at the Slippery Slope Bar and Grill, 5 p.m. That's a great name for an après bar, because sounds like things could get a little loose. A little on the slippery slope of things. Anyways, get there. West Virginia. It's happening. I would love to go to that. So many places to be on March 5th. Why can't, I wish maybe we should have World Telemark Day and it's a different Saturday at every place on the planet. So every weekend can be World Telemark Day. Maybe that's what we'll do. So yeah, stoked to get that in the email. And that's a perfect example. They're taking advantage. I mean, that was from the resort. Somebody hit me up, said, hey, this is what's going on. Can you get the word out? And I would more than be happy to. Our good friends in Mad River Glen are doing Freeheel Frolic March 11th and 12th, which is right after World Telemark Day. It's their World Telemark Day. That's what I was just saying, right? It's every Saturday of every month of every year for the rest of the planet existence. I don't even know what that means. Anyways, check that out. Mad River Glen, another fantastic. I mean, that is like the OG Telemark spot, I believe, one of them in New England, the old stomping grounds of Dickey Hall, and also a killer place to ski that is not. It's not easy. I will praise Mad River Glen and probably most other areas out there. You got to know how to move quick, folks. Tight trees is the name of the game. Nice moguls. Get some. All right. I wanted to remind, moving back to college, I'm bouncing back and forth across the country in my head here. I wanted to remind everybody about Kings and Queen of the Heel. These are our friends at Telemark, Colorado. Now, you might be thinking this is just like a youth activity, which there's a lot of, young people doing this. And that's one thing I like about it. They're, young folks. They're good at the, what we would call videotaping back in the day, on their telephones. And they know how to edit and put music to stuff. But anyways, if you haven't heard me talk about Kings and Queens of the Heel, it's a sweet video competition. There's a rule book you download, it's a sort of a workbook of sorts. You download that workbook at telemarkcolorado.com, and then there's a series of challenges that you can do. Some of them are like eating like breakfast burritos on the way to the mountain. Anybody can do that, right? You don't have to be young. Now, I don't know if I probably need to read through some of these, because I mean, I could be leading you astray, middle-aged guy that I'm talking about, and you're, like in your 40s like me, and then I'm like, yeah, just eat burritos, and then like half the challenge is like, you've got to drink a 6-pack before you go at like 8 a.m. or something. I do not think that. I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying there could be a challenge there. I haven't looked at all the booklet, so don't quote me. All I'm saying is everyone should do it. I would love to see some, people of all ages, men, women, kids, everybody do it, because it's going to be great, so that you can be crowned the king or queen of the heel. That's what it's all about. Just another awesome community event. So if nothing else, you can go to telemarkcolorado.com. You can watch the past 2 years of edits. Shout out to everybody that's done that. Hamdog 2069. It's good stuff. All right. The last one I kind of had, and I talked about this a while ago. There's a cool group up in Vancouver in Canada that is doing tele meetups every full moon. And you can if you're on Instagram, hit up North Shore Telemark, at North Shore Telemark for details. I don't even know when the next full moon is, but it's happening. Apparently they're going to get together and do some telemark skiing, so you should probably try to meet up with them too if you are Canadian or you're going to be in Vancouver. I thought that was a cool one. And that's what I'm talking about. That's some DIY shit. Like good shit, right? Like the good, And I love it. It's just like this dude hits me up on Instagram, totally spacing his name because I don't have it in front of me. It's in my notes. But I just love it. Like, here's an Instagram account, and somehow I want to say he had like 6 telemarkers in the group last time he went, and that's amazing. And that's what this is all about. Keep your community healthy. Throw a little event together. Drink some beer in the parking lot afterwards. Go grab a burrito or whatever, poutine. I guess if you're like East Coast Canada, I don't know. I love poutine, by the way. Okay, enough about Canada. So pumped about all these events, and that it just makes me so stoked that everyone's out there trying to do a little something in their zone and get it going, because that is what keeps this machine moving. Right? Telemark's dead and everything, right? We're all dead, and there's nothing going on. There's not any events nobody telemarks anymore. No, I'm kidding. But really, the point I'm trying to make is how that's always like the most ridiculous statement. And I just listed off like, how many events and all across the globe. And honestly, we could probably talk for hours, and I could just give you dates and times and locations. So please send those to me so I can do one of those. All right. So as I told you, this is kind of a mixtape of things. Just kind of calling out stuff for the week, and had a couple things in the mailbag. I haven't really done a mailbag episode in a while. I haven't been getting as many questions, maybe. Feel free to shoot me questions. I would love to do more mailbag episodes. It gets my brain going, and I feel like a lot of people have the same questions. So if you're somebody out there and you're whatever, new telemarker, old telemarker, dead telemarker, whatever, send me a question And, I'm happy to answer it on the podcast, and we'll put a nice mailbag episode together. But I thought I was just sifting through the email real quick and kind of caught a couple of these and thought I would just kind of throw them out there and chop it up for a bit about them. This one was kind of conveniently around the Midwest, and Midwest Telefest is happening, and just thought I'd kind of bring it up. It said, one request: I would really like to hear about the background story of Mount Bohemia in the Keweenaw Peninsula. I personally consider it the mecca of the Midwest for skiers and fellow boarders. I've skied numerous hills across the UP when I was on the Alpine race circuit, and I considered Mount Bohemia hands down the best terrain in the Midwest that I skied. Any other Midwest content would be greatly appreciated. I have not... I know people are going to be like, how have you never skied there? I actually have never skied Mount Bohemia. Midwest Telefest, although it's in the UP, is a little bit distant from there, and I've never made the extra time, or I guess when I did go out there, I never had the extra time to go out there personally. We have written about the Keweenaw Peninsula and its uniqueness. Man, I mean, in Telemark Skier Magazine, when we were doing print, I mean, I want to say like 2009, 2010, it was, I think, the first time I kind of caught wind of it, and we wrote about it. If you're not familiar with Bohemia, everything I've heard too is accurate with what this gentleman is saying, and I would absolutely love to dive in there. I'll probably have to dig up an old buddy of mine, Joey Wallace. He'd be a good guy. He's done a bunch of video work for Mount Bohemia, and lives in Iowa, I believe, and is a fantastic Midwest Telemark specimen, if you will. No, but I love the Midwest, and I love there's so many cool spots that if you live in the Midwest, I know this guy was saying, hey, any Midwest content appreciated. I love the Midwest. I love everywhere that has Telemark skiers. So, and as we start kind of heading into spring and summer, great time. I mean, honestly, there's no shortage of people to talk to on the podcast. But if you're at some cool resort and there's a cool tele story or a cool Telemark person, maybe there's a badass ski patroller or someone who's really pushing lessons or loans their gear out to somebody, or maybe it's a resort that like nobody even thinks about because it's like some rope tow, in the woods or something. Hit me up, give me some content, and I would love to reach out to those people and find it. So, yeah, thanks for the heads up on that. I think definitely doing something on the Keweenaw and Bohemia and anything else. And that was from a gentleman named Zach. So big thing, Zach, and definitely on the radar. This next one, someone said, I ordered Todd's books not even 10 minutes into the podcast. What an amazing episode. Thank you for giving him space to share his story. Well done. Thanks, A. Well, thank you. He's referring to Todd Stewart. If you did not listen to that episode, please do. I also agree. Definitely, and this isn't tooting my own horn. The episode was great because Todd is just such a rad dude and just a passionate individual that is truly living life in a very unique way in today's society. And I absolutely loved it too. And just highly, highly recommend it. Todd Stewart, check that episode out. This next gentleman, Ron, said a very similar thing. I just listened to the Todd Stewart podcast, and I think it was the best one so far. And I listen to them every week. Thanks for all of them, and especially this one, as it gives me a lot to think about and how lucky we are. Even makes me thankful in a low snow year. So thanks, Ron. I appreciate it. And like I was just saying about that Todd Stewart episode, I mean, it's like, even when I was doing that episode, it's like, I almost was like getting choked up talking to Todd. Cause I was like, it's like an emotional experience to talk to a person like that. That's like living literally off the land. And I mean, this guy lived out in the woods for 20 something years and just enjoying and seeing life in a completely different way. And I agree. That guy went through a lot, and I agree, Ron, gave me a lot to think about too, and how lucky we all are to be healthy and hopefully happy and doing some cool stuff on the earth. So thanks for listening every week too. I'm glad you're keeping up with it. So that was a couple ones on podcast episodes. Like I said, I'm going to be starting to kind of head into scheduling for spring and summer, and I'm going to keep rolling. I like talking, if you haven't noticed. And it's nice just talking to this microphone and talking to cool people and talking about Telemark. So shoot me ideas and give me some time, because like I always say, sometimes it's hard for me to get back on the emails, but I do look at them, and I do keep a list of all these people you guys are talking about. So this next one, I kind of wanted to, I wasn't going to share a lot of this kind of stuff, but this one popped in. I thought it was pretty awesome because it was some great feedback about our protector skis, and it came into the podcast inbox. And I just wanted to share it because, you know, if you listen to any of the podcast episodes about sort of our venture into manufacturing and starting to make skis this year, we made about 40 pairs of skis. They're handmade in Salt Lake. And it's not, we didn't farm this out. I mean, it was like, you know, we ripped that wood down from, you know, raw lumber and literally built the cores all the way to the top sheets. And minus like 2 procedures, all of it's done in-house at Freeheel Life. The rest of it's done at my buddy Todd's place, just down the street. So there's just a lot of love in those, and it's cool to get this kind of feedback. And we're starting to gear up for making round number 2. So this gentleman's name's Adam. This is what he had to say. Just writing to let you know how stoked I am with the Protector 105s. I got them last week and was able to ski on them all weekend. These skis are effing awesome. I'm a pretty aggressive skier, so I had you guys mount them with a pair of Outlaws and drop some stiffy springs in them right away. From the get-go, I was impressed with the stability and the way they handle. They rip hard and have the feel of a real performance ski. These things will rail on edge for days and are beyond stable at high speeds. I skied the Summit Bowl at Mount Bachelor this weekend, which was variable, and I felt confident in the ski to make effortless quick turns when needed on the steeps, yet powerful enough to bust through the variable crud without any disruption. While I could go on forever about how much these things rock, I just want to say you guys nailed the ski, and I'm beyond stoked to be ripping these things all over the mountain. Even more, I know how lucky I am to be repping the Protector with pride. Woo! Man, that makes me... I get that warm, fuzzy feeling. Thanks, Adam. No, that's rad. And it's so cool to, you know, to hear someone having a great experience on something that we made. I mean, the team made. I mean, we made these things. Like, everybody there, like, put time, bending edge, you know, designing the top sheet, laying it up, you know, cutting fiberglass, cutting carbon, cutting wood, like I was saying. So that means the world to me to hear that, and I hope it was okay that I shared it. And I hope you keep ripping turns, and I hope we just keep improving as we get deeper and deeper into the process of learning how to do this. Kind of another gear question. Real quick, I forgot. As far as those skis go, there's still many of you that are on a waiting list from last season. Obviously, we made 40 pair. We're not that didn't cover everybody that was on the list. that was it. I mean, that's what we were able to do this year. So stand by on the podcast website. We're going to be talking about what's going on soon enough, and we're just trying to get all the materials squared away and kind of get an earlier start on things, which is important, and do things differently a little bit earlier than we did this past season. So stay tuned. Okay, back to this next gear question. I thought I'm just gonna kind of read this and riff off it a little bit, and just because it stood out to me, it popped into the email. It seems almost something probably more like customer service at the shop. Might be able to kind of run you through this. Somebody like that, but it came to the podcast email, and I thought this is a good opportunity to sort of share maybe a couple thoughts on it. So this gentleman says, just wanted to say thank you for doing what you do. I needed guidance into the NTN realm as my candy canes, which are T-races, were clapped out from years of patrolling and ripping hard in Michigan. I love hearing the stories of leather boot startup, as that is how I got into knee dropping in the mid 90s. I still have them and use them on occasion. I just upgraded to the Scarpa TX Comp boot and Outlaw X binding mounted on head core skis. I've never really been a fan of, quote, Telemark skis, as I like to go fast and hard on Midwest ice pack. This is the first time in my life to get new gear. My kids always got the new stuff, and I had to use connections from my years managing a Play It Again Sports in Kalamazoo, Boulder, and Vancouver. I followed your suggestions on mounting and have taken 2 runs with the setup and went back to my old gear. It was a 17-inch powder day, and we don't get those too often. It was super odd feeling, and I was on a number 2 setting and had boots in ski mode. Boots fit perfect after fitting, and you guys helped me navigate the right sizing. My right turn has always been strong, my strong side, but with the new setup, it felt weak, and the ski fluttered underfoot if I didn't stick down really hard. It was concerning, and I was hoping you could give me a tip or two, as I'm going to be pulling some sleds tomorrow and need to feel confident when doing so. I came off of 22 Designs Vices with heavy springs or stiffy springs and vocal kendos. So kind of there's a lot to unpack here, and I kind of wanted to just get into it because I feel like this is a good opportunity. This is typical on some levels, right? So I'm going to break down what stands out to me as I kind of read through this, because I think the biggest thing that I was searching for literally as I was reading through the first part is, what was your setup? And we know this gentleman is on vocal kendos with a stiffy spring and vices and candy cane T-race boots. And that's fairly telling and very helpful, honestly. I think kind of having and this gentleman's name's Brad. So sorry, Brad, I forgot to name you early on in this. I think here's the first thing that I think of. T-races, T-races were like the stiffest. When we say candy cane T-races, that was the stiffest version of T-race ever came out. For some reason, that white plastic was actually stiffer. I believe I have confirmed that with Scarpa at some point. So otherwise, I could be bullshitting you and I'm making it up. But either way, cool story, right? T-races are, that was the go-to boot. If you wanted a stiff boot, that's what you went with. He's on vices and he's got a stiffy spring. He didn't say what position of the vice. I'm assuming either 2 or 3. And that's the slick pin. So that's your pivot position. Vocal kendos, definitely like good Midwest stiffer ski. So I'm looking at that setup and I'm thinking, okay, even coming from a Vice, even if he was on position 3 with stiffy springs and a T-Race boot, going to TX comps out of the box on an Outlaw, there's some transition there. That's why when people come in the shop, if you're jumping from a G3 Targa binding with like a T2 and you're going to NTN, there might be some difficulty in transitioning that, because the way I always put it is you're like gapping decades in technology, and so there wasn't like any in between. You know, if you've skied 22 designs for a long time, you know, you were a hammerhead person, then you went to Vice, Axle, and then you go Outlaw, that transition's a little bit easier. But I will say, you know, those T-Race boots that you have, Brad, like the candy canes, by the end, like you said, they're clapped. I think you said they're clapped out or crapped out. I don't know. You said clapped out, but I'm not sure if, hopefully that wasn't spell check or something. So, or it was spelled right. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You get my point. Those can get pretty soft. Honestly, you know, that T-Race isn't like a TX comp by the time you've ended with it, right? So those are the things that stick out to me, is your boot binding 75 millimeter combo on the Vocal Kendos. That's there's still a transition period. And honestly, the Outlaw X, in terms of the pivot point of where the ball of the foot flexes, even coming from a 22 Designs Vice binding, I think it still feels aggressive, and you've got a brand new boot. So I don't want to say it should happen where that inside leg's skipping around, but I've been there, you know, and if your boot's not broken in the way that you want it to, and you're not used to it, and the pivot point's a little funky and different, yeah, that's probably what's going on, you know? So I wouldn't be too worried, honestly. I haven't skied the head core skis, but those head skis I think are probably similar to the Kendos, honestly, just knowing kind of how head skis are made, or like a Blizzard or some of those, like they've got similar constructions and kind of shapes. But the boot binding combo, that's the big thing that sticks out to me in this. So one hot tip you could do, take your old liners from your T-Races, throw them in your TX comps, give them like 5 days with an old liner to just kind of get the feel of everything and get that plastic sort of worked in a bit. I really do think there is kind of a break-in process on Pebax boots. It's not a leather boot, right? Like you're not breaking it in like a leather boot, but I do think there's something to be said for like getting that binding flexing on that plastic, and how it feels is actually different in the end. So I would maybe try to, that's something I like to do, take old liners into the new boot, do that for a while, get it warmed up, get the plastic moving a bit, and then put your new liners in the new boot and kind of roll with it like that. But yeah, I just think it's transition. I honestly, and I get it, when you got 17 inches in Michigan, you probably should go with the setup, you know, because you don't want to have a crappy day, or if you got to pull a sled, like you're ski patrolling, something like that. I get it. So it could have just been bad timing, honestly. That's kind of my take on it. And I feel like putting a little bit more, I don't want to say effort. You probably put effort in, but I would put more days and kind of stick to it. Last point on that. Mounting point's probably fine on it. I mean, there could be a situation with maybe the mounting point. I think that's highly unlikely. I mean, especially if you're skiing them like boot center on boot recommended line on the ski, you're probably good to go in most cases. Like 99% of the time, that's a great spot to be, unless you are absolutely dialed and, you know, you're some tricked out person doing balance points and all this other funky stuff. So anyways, I thought that would be a good, hopefully that helps. Good to see some questions coming in like that. Like I said, sometimes I'm a little slow to the punch. If you send to the podcast one, like big gear questions, if you're down to wait, like I said, I would love to get more gear questions for mailbag episode. But if you need help immediately, hit up the team at customer service at freeheellife.com and they'll hook it up. All right. Well, I really appreciate everybody listening out there. And if you did stick with this episode and you were down to get the Telemark roundup, thanks for sticking around. It's awesome. I can't believe we're already in February and time's just jamming by. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I hope you are out enjoying or have a ski trip planned this week where you can get out and get some good snow. We're kind of in a high pressure here, so it's going to be nice bluebird and sunny, and we're gonna take it because that's what's here. Thanks for supporting us. As always, we would love to be your preferred Telemark shop, everybody. Freeheellife.com. Freeheel Life retail shop is open Tuesday through Friday, noon until 7 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Closed Sundays and Mondays so we can go get some. Tons of stuff over on telemarkskier.com. Check out articles, gear reviews, and more. We've been busting out some news about 75 millimeter, going away from some people, some deep dives into gear, Majo versus Lynx. Mr. Craig Dossey is doing a fantastic job over there of keeping Telemark Skier Magazine going. So head on over. We'd love for you to be a premium subscriber, or if you don't want to be, check out the news and whatever else is there for free. We just want you to be part of the community. And like I've said multiple times through the podcast, if you want to get at me with news, events, or more questions, hit me up direct, podcast at freeheellife.com. Thanks for listening. And for all you Apple listeners, if you got an extra second, please rate and review the podcast. I would love to hear what you think. And until next week, brothers and sisters of the turn, spread Telemark always. Peace out.